The stranger came to town just before dusk, when the sky was the color of old copper and the church bell had finished its evening call. Folks noticed him because Willow Creek did not often welcome new faces, and never at that quiet hour. He walked slow, leaning on a worn wooden staff, his coat dusted with the long miles behind him. Some said he looked like trouble, others said he looked like sorrow. He stopped first at the general store, where the stove crackled and the smell of coffee hung thick in the air. He asked for bread, paid in honest coin, and thanked the shopkeeper with a nod that carried more weight than words. He did not give his name. When asked where he came from, he only said, "Far enough." That night, a hard wind rose from the hills. It carried with it the kind of sound that set dogs barking and made mothers pull children closer. Willow Creek had known hard times before, floods, droughts, even war, but the trouble coming now was different. It was fire. Dry months had turned the surrounding fields into tinder. A single spark could undo a lifetime of work. And as the moon climbed high, that spark came. Flames broke out near the old mill, racing fast and hungry. The bell rang wild this time, not for prayer, but for fear. Men ran with buckets, women shouted names into the smoke, and children cried as the glow painted the town red. In the chaos, no one noticed the stranger moving against the rush. He did not run toward safety, he ran toward the fire. The mill sat close to the river, its wooden beams old and thirsty for flame. If it fell, the fire would leap the water and take the heart of Willow Creek with it. The stranger climbed the mill's narrow stairs as smoke choked the air. Sparks burned his coat. His hands blistered as he worked the rusted wheel that controlled the sluice gate. Down below, the river waited. With a final pull, the gate groaned open. Water thundered through the channel, crashing against the flames. Steam hissed like an angry beast, and the fire faltered, then fell back. The mill stood, scarred but alive. But the trouble was not done. A shout rose from the far end of town. The schoolhouse roof had caught. Without pause, the stranger crossed the burning ground, helping where he could, lifting fallen beams, guiding frightened families to safety. At the schoolhouse, the roof sagged, ready to give. Inside, trapped by smoke, was old Miss Eleanor, the teacher who had taught half the town its letters. The stranger disappeared into the smoke. Minutes passed. The fire roared. Then, through the door, he emerged carrying Miss Eleanor in his arms. The roof collapsed behind them with a sound like thunder. The town gasped as one. By dawn, the fire was beaten back. Willow Creek still stood. The stranger sat on the church steps as the sun rose pale and tired. His hands shook. His coat was burned through in places. When the townsfolk gathered, bringing water and blankets, he waved them off gently. "You saved us," the mayor said, voice breaking. "You saved everything." The stranger looked out at the town, at the homes spared, the faces streaked with soot and tears. He owed a debt, he said quietly. They asked him what he meant. He did not answer. As the light grew stronger, the stranger's strength faded. He slipped to the ground, breath shallow. Eleanor knelt beside him and suddenly recognized the eyes. "It's him," she whispered. "It's Thomas Hale." Years ago, Thomas Hale had lived in Willow Creek. He had left in anger after a bitter mistake that cost the town dearly, a deal gone wrong, a promise broken. The day he left, folks turned their backs, and he carried that weight with him ever since. "I never stopped loving this place," he said, voice thin as thread. "I just didn't know how to come home." The bell rang again, slow this time. Thomas Hale passed as the morning warmed the streets he had saved. They buried him on the hill overlooking Willow Creek, where the river bent like a silver ribbon. No stone marked his grave at first, just a wooden cross and fresh earth. But the town remembered. Years later, when children asked why the mill still stood or why the schoolhouse door bore a burn mark shaped like a hand, the elders would tell them about a night of fire and a stranger who walked out of the smoke. And they would say that sometimes the ones who save us are not the ones who never fall, but the ones who find the courage to return.